It is now embarrassing for women, apparently, embarrassing to, I hope you're ready for this, have a boyfriend. That's right. And this is not me pulling it out of my ass. This is according to Vogue magazine, still one of the biggest magazines in the world. So let's talk about what the hell happened to women, what kind of women that are still left in the dating world, and what to do about it if you're a single guy like me. So first, let's talk about the article itself, because the article claims, and I don't disagree, that a lot of women nowadays, when they take pictures for social media, they literally cut their husbands and boyfriends out of those pictures before they post them on Instagram and Facebook and so forth. And this is not for privacy reasons. This is not privacy. This is image management, because women want to appear independent on social media while enjoying the stability and presence of a man in their lives. Because being happy in the relationship is now just simply uncool and even apparently Republican. We just, man, in America, we have to drag everything into politics, don't we? So it is much more fashionable now on social media to be single, chaotic, and anti-man. And if you accidentally are one of those weird women who fell in love and are enjoying a healthy relationship, well, this becomes a PR problem. And let me tell you, this is not just a problem in the West, America, or Europe. No, as somebody who lives in Southeast Asia, and for a while now, I can tell you this is a new global pandemic. COVID's got nothing on this, because the traditional values that have we just call them regular life. We call traditional women women. Remember that? Yeah, that's not a thing anymore. And like I said, even here in Thailand, where it's just a global rejection of men as a virtue now. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't regret moving to Thailand at all. I mean, this is just a better country in just so many different ways. But just being away from Western women and not being around them is already a huge W. And I am still very much convinced that you have no wife material women in America or Europe, where here we still have a few. You still have a chance if you want one. And I would say that the number of wife material women here, and I would say let's just average it around the world, and I've been to over 30 countries now, including Africa very recently, trying all kinds of dating markets and dating scenes. So I would say that wife material women, on average, is about 5%. The rest, the 95% of women, are essentially divided into three categories. The first type are transactional women, and that is the fastest growing type of women nowadays. They date for money, and they're pretty honest about it, which I do, and I think all of you should appreciate. And you know, they're attracted to money not in a way, oh, this is for my kid's future, this is for better healthcare. No, the money is for the Mercedes, Louis Vuitton purses, and just general Instagram type lifestyle. These relationships are essentially economic arrangements, and these women are essentially subscription prostitutes. And this is everywhere, from Los Angeles all the way to right here in Bangkok. This is just the new reality. Now, the second type of the modern women are now economic feminists. I can buy myself flowers type of women, right? And these women have their own money, either because they've created their own careers and they make enough, or they live off of the money of their fathers or ex-husbands, but they have their own money and they don't really date men. And when they do, they usually date simps that there are plenty of in America and really around the world, but they treat these men, the Sims, are more like emotional support animals. Now, these women are perfectly fine with their wine and cats and their emotional support animals, and they just don't realize that the antidepressants is what is waiting for them in the future, and there is no redos here. By the time they realize that, it is too late. And yet, no matter how much we have those women who are aged out and now warning the younger women on social media saying, don't do this. You don't want to end up this way. Nothing is changing so far, specifically because the Sims, the majority of men in the world, are essentially encouraging this, because what you permit, you promote. Now, the third type, and we have plenty of them here in Southeast Asia, are asexual women. Women who just lost their desire for men altogether. Now, these women were told by, social media, friends, family, everybody that, you don't need a man. And not because they have money, just because it is either fashionable, as we found out from that article, or a lot of their friends and family had bad experiences. But at the end of the day, these women have been programmed against the nature, essentially, that they don't need a man. And, if you've never had it, or you haven't had it in a long time, you stop craving it. I would say 90% of women that I go out with, and granted that I only go out with more traditional women here, specifically the women who don't speak any English, because that's how the virus actually spreads. I end up with women who either virgins in their 30s, I kid you not, guys, and definitely some in their 20s, or haven't had a man or haven't had a sexual experience in many, many, many years. And these women, you kind of have to convince them that they need a man first before you can convince them that they specifically need you. It's really weird. Now, the sad truth is that a lot of these women, and women in other countries, and I recently went to Kenya, a pretty poor country, I gotta tell you guys. These are the women that can use a provider and a protector, and usually have very, very, very limited choices. And yet, they behave like they don't need a man, because in their heads, they don't need a man. Now, I know logically it makes no sense, right? I mean, these women, like in Kenya, for example, they're living in borderline mud huts. No healthcare, almost no jobs, no prospects, no future. And my experience was the very few men that they do have out there that even qualified as even average providers, they still treat like shit, because at the end of the day, they're programmed to do that. They programmed that I don't need no man. There again, please don't look for logic and don't shoot the messenger here. I know it makes no sense. I know, but they are everywhere. If you don't believe me, either go to Kenya yourself or come here to Southeast Asia and you can see all of them for yourself. I'm just giving you facts. Now, one thing you would notice is that essentially what's happening is reprogramming against nature. Because if there's one thing that nature or God or whatever it is you believe created us, there's one thing that all of us, all of species on this planet and probably the rest of the planets, there's only one thing that we're programmed to do, which is the most important thing, which is to procreate. As a matter of fact, there are species on this planet whose entire job is to do that, like male bees and male ants. After being born, all they do is mate with a queen and then die right after that before they even see their babies. The human female species are now being reprogrammed into not giving a shit about that. Now, how it works in their bloodstreams with hormones in their brains, it's a mystery. But I can tell you that this should be classified as a mental health disorder. As a matter of fact, as a mental health crisis. Because when you go against nature, the number one thing that the nature wants you to do, and you're doing it proudly, we have some mental health problems. Okay, now let's talk about what to do about it, because bitching and complaining about it is not going to help. So what is it that you can do as a single man who just happened to live in 2025 or 26, whenever you're watching this video? The old dating system is gone. And the number one thing that you have to do before you do anything is to accept it. So only once you accept the reality, which is, a good thing to do no matter what, practice what's called radical acceptance. If you've never heard of it, look it up, but essentially it's when you accept whatever it is that is a reality around you without questioning why it's happening and getting angry about it. Just accept it. Once you do, then you can actually move forward with some solutions. And there are a few solutions here. Number one, and this is extremely important for every man, and this should have been the case before all this dating cluster fuckery happened. Build a life where your happiness does not depend on women. Now, I know for some men like myself, sex is very important, and we'll deal with that in just a second. But make sure that you build a life where you are happy the way you are, without women around. I gotta tell you, that concept was very, very weird to me only a few years ago. And as reality kind of forced me into, being a single man, and as somebody who does not accept all this bullshit from modern women, I've come to actually not only accept but love my single man lifestyle, especially here in Thailand. As a matter of fact, every time I meet a girl that seems like, oh, she could be actually a potentially good future girlfriend and wife, I go like, oh man, you mean I have to give up all of these things that I've built in my life that makes it awesome? So until you build a life where your happiness depends only on you, you're not ready for a relationship anyway. Secondly, if you can, get the fuck out of America or Europe or whatever Western country you're at. You will not find wife material women there at all. And even if by some accident you will, the reality, the social media, the pressure, just the universe will absolutely crush that one girl into a modern woman, and then you'll have to get a divorce. So the only choice you really have is to do what I did. Get the fuck out of America, Europe, whatever, and come to a country of your choice where you will at least have some choices. I actually have a whole online course about it. It's at themillionmanproject.com. You can see that it's not an easy process, but if you can make the journey, game over. Your life will be absolutely amazing. The next one is called MGTOW. It stands for men going their own way. These are the men, and I know quite a few of them, who basically completely eliminated women from their lives. And those who need sex do get sex, and again, we'll talk about it in just a second. But essentially, these are the men who replaced all of this fuckery, where you have to deal with women and spend money and all of that stuff. They have refilled their lives with amazing activities that they can count on being amazing. And they're saving their time, money, and of course, you have your, as women like to brag about, independence, which is actually good if you're a man. Not so good when you are a woman, but that's a whole different conversation, which I've already had a million times on this channel. Now let's talk about sex. What do you do if you're a guy who needs sex and you need sex with an actual human female? Well, again, this is why I can't say everything I want to say, and that's why I have a newsletter. If you go to themillionmanproject.com, that's where that newsletter is, and I send out, emails, old school, with things that I can actually say that YouTube and TikTok is not going to punish me. But if you're looking for sex, again, I'm very limited here, you have to consume it as a product. For example, here in Southeast Asia, it is quite easy, simple, and kind of awesome if you're into it, because it will save you time and money for sure. And also, if you are and you have to live in a Western country, at the very least, you need to support politicians and initiatives that would move legalizing prostitution forward. Because if prostitution is legalized, that takes away sex as a bargaining chip, a manipulation tool from women, and essentially tells them that they have to offer something more than that. Because if they don't, well, it will cost, and it does in some parts of the world, less than taking a girl out to a proper date. Feels amazing, actually. and this is one thing that every man needs to support. If prostitution is legal where you're at, your dating life is going to be very, very different, and women will behave very, very differently. So if you're a man who must have it, consume it as a product. And lastly, if you're a man who actually needs affection, empathy, and companionship on the emotional level, a lot of men have been dealing with it by having sort of long distance relationships with women who they will never meet or touch. But now there's a much better version. And, you know, we're unlucky to live in the times of modern women, but we're also lucky to live in times of AI. And AI girlfriends, and sometimes you can just literally just use ChatGPT as an AI girlfriend. They will provide more empathy, care, and almost everything that you would want emotionally from a woman better than an actual woman. If you don't believe me, try one of those services. I think they're like, I don't know, $10 a month, something ridiculous. Try it. So if you need that, oh boy, I think real women will have a really hard time competing once there are actually, you know, realistic humanoid female robots walking around. And I'm not even talking about sex. I'm talking about just generally a kind and respectful treatment of men. So try those. They are amazing. Listen, as ridiculous as this Vogue article sounds, it is the reality. Women don't need or don't want men. Don't argue with them. Yes, they're fucking stupid. Female species, human species, are the dumbest species on the planet when it comes to mating. But again, no need to get angry about it. It is what it is. There are plenty of the solutions that I've outlined for you. Are they perfect solutions? No. But I gotta tell you, as far as saving time and money and filling your life with other things that you can use time and money for, I gotta tell you, I'm living that life right now, and it is quite amazing. I'm not really sure if I want a wife at this point. Listen, you can't fix it. You can only adopt. The game is over. And the only men who will win now are the men who stopped playing.